How's it, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome back to another episode of Cosplay Con Talk, where we basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. I'm here doing another segment on Get to Know That Cosplayer, and I am joined here by Retro Lizard Cosplay. How you doing, Lonnie?
I'm doing well. How are you?
That is your preferred name, correct? I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure.
Either
Okay.
Lonnie or Retro, whatever.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, is all.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you're familiar with how this segment goes. We'll be talking about how you got into cosplay, the cons you've gone to, some advice, experiences, and all that stuff. So to begin, because I forgot when you said you started when we did the cosplay visual one. How long have you been cosplaying for again?
I started in 2007.
When
That was the year of my first Sakura-con.
when cosplay was becoming sort of mainstream in the States.
Yeah, I think right around that time was probably when it started to blow up a little bit. Like it was still kind of obscure.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, yeah, I can't argue with that because like back in the 90s, it was more, small hotel conventions and everything. Um, so yeah, 2007. Yeah, that's just like when that's like when your well-known cosplayers were making it, big as well.
yeah, and the even the big conventions back then were like so small compared to what they are now. Because like Sakura-con now is huge, but back then it was still kind of like almost tight knit
Oh, I believe it.
comparatively anyway. Yeah.
I believe it. So, before we go on, I actually want to. I think I usually forget to ask for those who have mentioned SakuraCon. Was SakuraCon started at a hotel or convention center back in '07?
Well, in '07 when I went, it was at the convention center, but they were a hotel con for quite a while before that because I think they started in like 2000 or 98, 99, 98. Like they were around for a while before I finally went.
Well, I believe it. I know we kind of asked this last time, but it's been a while. What was your first con experience like?
Um, it was, I mean, it was exciting, and I didn't know what to expect at the time because I really had never been to any kind of geek or fandom convention, any kind of convention before. And at the time, I was sort of commuting back and forth to the convention center from Bainbridge Island, whereas now, like, I always have a hotel, or not always if it's like a local con, but like for Sakura Con, I always have a hotel. I'm always kind of right there, so I can be at the con kind of the whole time. But back then, I didn't know as much about it, and I didn't know what to expect, so I was like taking the ferry to and from every day, and that was like it cut out so much time that even over the course of 3 days, I didn't really get all that much like con time in. But I got to see all the cosplayers in person and, try wearing a costume for the first time and kind of see what it was all about. And it was all just a little whoosh, just let it wash over me and take the
Uh,
experience
a
in. And
big
it was
culture
pretty
shock,
cool. It was a lot of fun.
basically a giant culture shock to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, I was just looking up SoccerCon. It was formed in '98, and as of 2017, their attendance has been up to 25,000 since 2017.
Yeah, that number still shocks me. It's just amazing how big it is.
And with every year, I'm sure it's going to progress more and more.
Yeah, now the convention center in Seattle is expanding into a whole other building that I haven't checked out yet, but I've heard that it's big enough that it could host a convention all on its own. So it's going to be like twice as much space now. And I'm like, this is going to be huge for
Yeah,
Emerald City Comic Con and PAX and all those.
I've heard from a few others who've been on here, two other people I've interviewed. Yeah, they've been telling me that the convention centers could be so much bigger
It looks
over.
huge. Like I'm really excited to check it out. Um it's going to make a huge difference for the artist alley at SoccerCon because they for a while were crammed into a space that really couldn't handle it.
Oh,
It was
jeez.
just so crowded. It was like people pressed in, just like
Like can of
packed like sardines.
sardines.
And I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
too much for me.
I'm too familiar with how being just compacted into one. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it
That's
was
fun.
like frightening. I was like, I don't even want to get stuck in this crowd. So I'm just gonna I ended up not checking out the artist alley very much because it was so crowded. And now it's gonna be in I think I heard from somebody that it's gonna now be where the dealers hall was, and the new dealers hall is probably gonna be in a completely different area. So I'm really eager to see what that's going to be like. I think it's going to work out really well for
Oh,
everybody.
I wholeheartedly believe that it is. I mean, from what I've been told, I know I'm sure, once, those cons go to the new convention center, a lot of people are going to be like, a lot of artists are just going to try to get their spot right away so they can like, have a good spot for their booths and everything. Man, that's pretty nice to see. Um, so what has your overall convention experience been like since you've been doing this since '07?
Well, I've gone to, cons of different types and of different sizes. And I mean, Sakura Con is the one that I've been consistently going to every year. And that's kind of like my frame of reference for what I think of as like a big anime convention, because it's one of the bigger ones. I think the only one maybe bigger is like Anime Expo,
Oh,
at least in the States. But
yeah.
then I also go to like really small conventions
Lady Con's nice.
Chibi Chibi Con is coming up in a couple of weeks
I I
and that's at the Evergreen State College.
I have heard about
And
Chibi
they're
Chibi.
always free and it's always just one day, but it's always
Ooh.
really, really fun. So I like going to those tiny little kind of everybody knows each other kind of cons. And then really big ones like Emerald City Comic Con. I checked out PAX a couple of times. PAX was like a completely different
Oh,
thing
I've heard.
because it's an expo, right? It's not so much like a fan
Oh,
convention as it is an expo.
it
So I've
is.
seen
It's
kind of
pretty
everything
big.
on that spectrum from like really small, just fans, just hanging out to like big industry, like expo stuff and everything in between.
Your friend, as I would call them, your franchise cons, or well, no. I think when I think of franchise cons, I think of like Fan Expo, Wizard World, the New York Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con. But yeah, no, I've heard that ECC and SoccerCon and and PAX is pretty big up there.
Yeah, PAX is so big that a lot of people can't even get in, which is why I think that expanding the convention center is going to be huge for PAX because people like it. It's just like a bloodbath getting those badges sometimes.
Oh, I
Um,
bet.
and then when you get there, I mean, I guess the last couple of years because of COVID, not as many people have been showing up, and I've heard that it's a lot like more chill. But the couple of times that I went, I was like, this is so many people. It was just
A bit
like
overwhelming.
above and beyond kind of what I was used to. And I ended up kind of deciding that it wasn't really the right kind of con for me. It's great if you want to go and like
There's
try demos of new video games. Like that's
Oh,
the best
so
place in the
so
world
it's
to do
like
that.
a video game convention. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like it's where all these different developers ranging everywhere from kind of
Oh,
indie to like,
oh,
AAA
it
game
sounds like
studios.
my kind
No,
of
like I
con.
can see why a lot of people have a great time with it, but I'm not the kind of person who wants to necessarily stand in line and just play a demo. I'd rather play the demo at home.
Oh,
I'm
I
more
mean
of a like, I'm gonna go
that's
to a con where everybody is just geeking out and doing karaoke and this and that. Like, that's just kind of more my
there's
scene, I guess.
and
So I
as
decided PAX is
always.
maybe not my favorite con to go to, but I'm glad it's there for people like you who want to go check it
Oh.
out.
And as I always say, there is nothing wrong with that. Everyone has their like cons. Everyone has their comfort con, and which seems to be soccer con seems to be your comfort con. Um, so I've been making this a two-part question compared to when I used to, make it just one. Advice for those who for con attendees who don't cosplay go to their first con, and advice for cosplayers who want to go to their first con.
So how do you differentiate those two? Like somebody
Um,
who just wants to go to a con versus somebody who wants to cosplay?
yeah, basically that.
Um, there's a lot of advice that I would give. A big one is to consider your comfort because I think people who are first getting into cosplay maybe don't know what to expect of their own bodies going into it. And just know that if you're going to be like covered in tons of layers on like a really hot day and with, a wig on your head and all this, like you're going to be sealing in body heat, you're going to be in a crowded convention hall, like be ready to like sweat and be willing to like stop and hydrate, take layers off, like think about what your body is going to need. And if you put on something at home and you're like, oh, this is really tight, but I can deal with it for the costume, just know that down the line it's going to start to hurt and you're going to need to take it off.
Oh, I
So
believe it.
especially as I get kind of more older into my 30s now, I'm more of like, I don't want to put myself through all this pain and suffering. I'm not going to wear uncomfortable shoes. think about what your body is going to need when you're kind of going into it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I commend those cosplayers who can wear those big bulky cosplays and not go to the bathroom, like, you
I
know.
don't know. I think they just plan on not eating and drinking all day, I guess.
Yeah, but that's a big factor. Like, yeah, you if you can troop it through, good for you, but your body is gonna like, need that food, need that, your liquids and everything.
Yeah, and when you're making things, always think about how you're going to go to the bathroom. And sometimes you end up with, like a bodysuit that you're just going to basically have to take the whole thing off when you go. And
I've
that,
heard many stories about that.
sometimes that's just the way it goes. But you can be you can get creative with putting like like panels into bodysuits and things like that so that you maybe don't have to take off the whole thing. But that's a whole other, set of tasks to kind of take on as you're making your cosplay.
Oh,
Just think about the moment when you're gonna have to really pee and take it off in 5 seconds.
oh yeah.
Or some people just don't drink, I guess. I don't know what they do.
I mean, if I go to a con and there's food, if I have the money, I'm gonna eat. But yeah,
Yeah, you gotta
advice.
eat, you gotta fuel.
Oh yeah. Advice for those for just con attendees who don't plan on cosplaying and just want to go for the experience.
um I would say do as much research as you can and kind of plan out your day and plan out what you want to see, but don't force yourself to stick to a plan too tightly because you don't want to show up at the con and have like no idea where to go or what to do, but you also don't want to miss out on something because you weren't like being kind of spur of the moment with it. So make a schedule, but just don't force yourself to stick to it too tightly. um, it's always good to research beforehand and find out what's going on that's going to be most interesting to you. um, and that is one of the best ways that you can really like make the most of your time.
That's some pretty sound advice, and I'm also sure, you know, as most people have said that I've asked, always have a set budget when you go to a con because I know there's people who want to spend money left and right in the dealer's hall and artist alley, which there's nothing wrong with supporting your local artist, but I'm sure you
Mhm.
can agree have a set budget no matter what.
Yeah, keep track of it. Don't, because you're not going to be able to um rein it in as much when you're just getting excited and buying everything you see, and then you're going to go home and realize, oh, I just spent $1,000. Like, how did that happen? So in fact, I sometimes, if I can, I like to just bring my budget in cash, because that way I can't,
You're not,
be
breaking the
spending my
bank.
credit card left and right and suddenly find that I'm, $500 over budget or whatever, which it can happen,
You don't want to break the bank.
No, plan ahead.
Yes, that shiny Hatsune Miku statue looks nice, but also look at the price.
Yep, and with anime figures especially, not that you shouldn't be supporting the vendors at your local cons, but just know that with anime figures, you're probably paying more than what you would pay online. So if you see a figure you really, really want and it's like $500 at a con, look for it online and you can probably find it for like half of that.
Oh no, most definitely. And as someone was saying here, when it comes to the local artist, if the local artist doesn't have it at their booth anymore, it doesn't hurt to ask if they have it Etsy shop and get it commissioned or see if they have it on their shop.
Oh, I do that all the time with the artist alley, because because I can't just buy every single thing I see that I like, or I would break the bank. So I take those cards, and they almost always have business cards, and I always check out their Etsy's later. And
Oh no, to always support your local artists at a con because they're the ones who are
absolutely.
I have to say they're the ones who are having to. I'm trying to think of this in a good way. Like they're the ones who are like having to put out more because you have the dealer's hall, you have where they sell your licensed stuff and your um knockoff stuff and your bootleg stuff. They're the
Mhm.
one. That they're both competing with one another, not in a bad way, but
Mm.
I've seen it to where artists have like barely sell anything, and it's just like it sucks because you're competing with everybody else to.
Right, and those profit margins can be awfully thin, and I think that's why what I've seen artist alley folks try to do is have a wide variety of stuff and just cover all your bases and make it so that like almost anybody who walks by your table is going to see some little thing that they like. Because if you sell a million of like a $5 keychain, then you're still making a lot of money, even though it's just a, you know, it's a cheap item that anybody can buy. That's kind of like
Oh yeah,
not that
no,
I not that I'm an expert on these business strategies, but just
no.
that's what I seem to notice people doing is just have a variety.
Oh yeah, no. Actually, good idea for a future podcast. Talk to artists who've done had the booths at con. Anyway, that's for
Yes,
another.
I would love to hear from them.
That's for another time. So one thing I always ask on here, or at least try to ask, what are your thoughts on having, as I put it, a convention exit buddy, someone to bring with you to a con just in case just things get a little too out of hand, or or even like have a handler with you if you're doing a big bulky cause, or you have a cosplay that the vision, as I call it, would be shit.
Yeah, like if anything is going to be impairing your vision or your movement, you gotta have somebody with you. Um, and I don't do a lot of those type of cosplays. I'm not really like a big like a suit of armor kind of cosplayer.
Nothing
But
wrong with
when I
that.
see those people, they always have a handler. Like you gotta have somebody to hold your stuff and make sure you don't fall down the escalator or whatever.
As I call it when it comes to, and this is not meant to be like taken, offensive, but they're your personal pack mule. You're carrying all their stuff.
They are, and you know, some of them they don't mind. They're like, hey, someday you're gonna do this for me, right?
Oh,
Like that's yeah,
I've been a pack mule carrying stuff at cons and everything. I've nothing against
yeah.
it.
I do it for people too. If I'm not in cosplay and I'm following my cosplaying friends around, I'm like, yeah, let me hold your shit.
So, like I said, this won't be out till July of this year. So, what cons will you have gone to by then, and what cons do you plan on going to after this is out?
Well, my next one is Chibi Chibi Con. That's coming up
Mm,
at the end of February. And then right
I
one
can't
week
wait
after
to
that
see
is
about
Emerald
that
City
one.
Comic Con, which I'm just going to go for one day this year. And then coming up not too long after that is Sakura Con. And what comes after that? Then there's Summer Con in Puyallup.
Oh yeah, what's up, Washington Summer?
Yeah,
I've heard some pretty decent things about that
it's
con.
pretty cool. I just went the one time, not last year, but the year before. And what's really cool about them is they get some really, really, really good like celebrity guests and
I
other
have heard.
actors. Yeah, and they're not like super expensive if you want to meet them or get a photo with them. Like it's very affordable, which is I think a really cool thing that they're
Oh
doing
yeah.
is making it kind of accessible. And I know they're gonna have Dante Bosco this year and I'm gonna dress as
Oh, nice.
Zuko, and I'm gonna meet him dressed as Zuko from
Oh
Avatar.
yeah,
It's
I've
gonna be
heard
great. Yeah,
from what I've seen on Instagram and everything and in Facebook, he's been doing a lot of conventions lately.
he's been getting around. He was at Emerald City too. But, I didn't get to meet him then. I just saw him on stage at a panel. But now I'm definitely gonna take the time to like get a picture with him. It's very exciting.
Oh, that sounds exciting. So now on to the cosplay portion of the segment before we talk about your cosplays and everything. Advice for those who are wanting to get into cosplays or in cosplayers on a budget, would you recommend something like thrifting or upcycling something, or even going the route of Amazon, or even buying one of those, and then this is not in a bad way, the cheap cosplays that you would see like on a cosplay website.
Yeah, you can do both. Like you definitely should like utilize every option that you have and just know that when you buy like a $50 cosplay on Amazon, you're rolling the dice. You don't know what the quality is going to be like.
And
It's
always
probably
go
not going to be great because it
and
was
always go
$50 and you can
and always go a size up too.
right, and I've gotten some really cheap cosplays that ended up working out great and looking really good. So you just don't know what to expect and just be wary of that. You know, read reviews, talk to people that have maybe gone to that particular vendor before, and really pay close attention to the sizing because they're probably Chinese sizing and they are, you know, their
Oh.
idea of a large is different from a very large.
I've learned that mistake with a cosplay I did a while back. It's like,
It happens to all of us, unfortunately. But if you're not wanting to take that risk, then like thrifting and upcycling are your best friends. Like I love repurposing just things that I can find at the thrift store, which maybe will limit some of the like options of crazy cosplays that you can do. But if you're just starting out, look for a character who maybe wears something a little more on the simple side. Like I just recently did Todd from BoJack Horseman, and that's
Oh yeah, the
literally
one with
just
the blue hair.
yeah, and I mean it's a beanie and sweatpants and a sweatshirt, and so it was the easiest thing in the world. Um, and those kind of characters, people will still recognize and like appreciate the cosplay, even though
Oh
you just
yeah.
went and picked it up at Value Village,
Especially if
for
you're
10 bucks.
like wearing the wig or something. I mean,
Oh
hell.
yes, and well, I also was walking around with a guy dressed as BoJack, and he had a big horse head on. Yeah, no, we were a hit. People would see him and go, "Hey, it's the horse from Horsing Around," and then I would be standing there, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's Todd!" Like people really liked it, even though it was just, we pulled these things out of Goodwill and the Halloween store, Spirit Halloween. I think is where he
Nice.
got his horse head. So it was a thrifted cosplay that we had a great thing with.
Nice.
And I would say new cosplayers should do that kind of thing first and get a feel
See,
for it.
that's not a bad thing. I mean, hell, look at your anime protagonists and all these old from the old to new anime. They wear basic simple clothes half the time and not they don't always wear like their main outfit as I call them. They just wear casual clothes like My Hero Academia, Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, and it can get tricky because sometimes it can not be as recognizable, like unless like Sailor Moon, you would know she's Sailor Moon if because you have the long blonde pigtails and everything. But maybe if it were somebody else from the same series and you just wore one of their casual outfits, then people aren't necessarily going to know who you are. And so it can be a little bit of a balancing act with easy, but also people will know what you are. And wigs are usually the most important factor in
Oh
that, is
yeah,
having
no.
a great wig
Oh
or
yeah.
wearing something that the character is like really well known for wearing, also.
Oh no, wholeheartedly agree. So, um, what was your very first cosplay back then, if you can remember?
Yeah, it was Mamimi from Philly Cooley.
Mommy, me from I know how to spell Fooly Cooley. It's just
It's just
FLCL.
FLCL, yeah, but you just say Philly Cooley.
What's the name of the character?
Mamimi.
Well, me.
It's just a school uniform, and that was one that I like ordered from someplace online.
Oh, oh, I think you actually.
We did talk about this the last time, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a year since we talked about
It's
this,
been
but
a minute, yeah.
but for anyone not for anyone who doesn't know what the character looks like, because that anime is like 2000 something old. This is yeah,
Yep, that's her.
yeah, just basic
And we're
school.
actually coming up on the 25th anniversary of Philly Cooley before too long in 2025. And so my plan is to do like a really good Haruko cosplay for that to kind of like celebrate the 25 years of Philly Cooley, because it was
Ooh.
such like a hugely like formative anime for me, like one of the first anime I saw that wasn't, like Pokemon or Dragon Ball
Oh,
Z.
okay. Yeah, yeah, I've seen a lot of cosplays of yeah.
Yep,
The
yep.
the the
And
main one I
I'm
usually
gonna
see them is like they're riding a moped or something.
oh yeah, she's got a yellow moped. It would be great if I could have a moped for a cosplay, but I'm not ready to throw down that kind of money.
Oh
Um,
man, yeah.
but I'm gonna have like a replica guitar. I'm just gonna go all out, make it look really cool.
Yeah, it came out in 2003 and its final episode was in 2018.
Well, 2003 I think is when it aired on Adult Swim, but the anime in Japan I think actually debuted in 2000,
Yeah,
which
I'm
is why
looking.
we're coming close to that 25th
Yeah.
anniversary.
Yep, the 6 episode series was released in 2000 to March 2000. Wow, it didn't last long back then.
Nope, only 6 episodes.
Yeah.
But man, it had a big impact.
Oh, geez. Yeah, no, I mean, 14 episodes shy of how Ghost Stories lasted back in that same year.
Oh, really?
Sorry.
Well, it doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be around for very long to have a big impact.
No, I mean, again, like I said, look at Ghost Stories. It didn't do well in Japan, came here to America, and they basically just told the actors just say whatever you want.
Oh God, that is such an experience.
If you haven't, if anyone has never seen or heard of Ghost Stories, I highly recommend watching it. The English dub version is something else than it is. And I do allow one F word on here, so you can whenever you want to say your F word. I keep this PG-13, but like a PG-13 movie, you're allowed one F word, but you can say any other generic PG-13 words. But Ghost Stories is
Gotcha.
really fucking funny. Um,
It is very not politically correct. But yeah, if you can handle some of that very off-color humor, it's a
Oh, so so
great
so,
time.
you- so you've heard of it then?
Oh, I've watched the Ghost Stories dub. It's a riot. My friends and I quote it all the time,
You
especially
can't. They
the
can't
girl
do
who's
stuff. You
like,
can't do stuff like. You can't say stuff like that nowadays. But oh, it's.
I mean, you can just you got to know your audience.
Like, swear to God, I hope you're adopted. Anyway, um, so yeah, yeah. So Mommy Me from Fooly Cooly was your very first official cosplay. What was that like cosplaying such an iconic character from a near 20-year-old anime?
Well, at the time, it wasn't quite that old yet. It was like really still very popular at the time.
It was about seven
And
years, about 7 years old at the time.
yeah, yeah. So it was still like pretty big on the cosplay scene when I went to my first con, and I definitely saw other people also dressed as Fully Cooley. And at the time, I was kind of like too shy to interact with them, but it was still cool to see. So it wasn't like, because I wasn't like the only Mamimi, it didn't get like a huge amount of like response from people because it's like, oh, there's another Mamimi. But it was still fun and it was a good cosplay for me, I think. And that particular cosplay, I don't think I have anymore. But I'm obviously the series is still holding a very special place in my heart because I am still planning on being Haruko.
Nice. Um, do you ever would you ever plan on cosplaying as Mommy Me again from Fooly
That's
Cooly?
well, I thought about that, but I think I would rather just be Haruko. But maybe I'd be Mommy again. It's yeah, I'm more interested in Haruko now, I think.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So I'm actually gonna ask this question first, since I usually ask it towards the end of the cosplay segment. What has been what's that one cosplay that took you the longest to make? Because I know you've during the cosplay veteran segment, you talked about you make some cosplays. What's been your biggest, longest cosplay project that you've done?
Um not I don't really have a great answer for that because like some people will, spend like 3 months just like making, like a big weapon or something in their garage. And I don't usually take on quite that scale of project. So most of my cosplays, like I'm, when you kind of condense it all down, it's usually just, a matter of hours of work basically, because I pick those are the kind of cosplays that I pick is, maybe a little bit of sewing and a little bit of crafting. And um, so nothing that's taken like a huge amount of time, but I do tend to work in spurts. And so I may come back and like work on the same thing, over a course of like weeks or months. Um, and just little bursts of when I get that creative energy. Like I did today, actually. I made this mask today. Here, I'll show it to you.
Yeah, I won't see the mask.
Yeah. This is Momo from Stray. He's a robot.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it.
And this
Oh,
panel lights up.
straight from the video game with a cat.
Yeah, with the cat. I love this guy.
Oh,
So
I
I'm
have
gonna
never
need him
seen
at
anyone. I have
Sakura.
never seen anyone do that yet.
I saw a Momo cosplayer at KumoriCon and I was like, oh my god, it's so good. And this
Oh,
like the kind of the only cool thing about this is that the face lights up.
wait.
Um yeah.
Oh, I mean, you. Oh, I love it.
But like I busted this out today. Like, it took me some time to track down the
Oh,
materials. Like
that's
getting
really
this like
cool.
getting this EL panel took like a while to find. And this like plastic that I have, this rainbow plastic, it took me forever to track this down. Like I spent all that time finding the materials, and then once I sat down and put it together, it took me a couple of
I
hours. This
mean,
was like a 2 or 3 hour project.
if you have a
So
cat, if you have a cat, you got to take a picture of you holding
oh,
the
I
cat.
I wish, and I wish I had an orange stripy cat. If I find somebody who has an orange stripy cat, can I take pictures with it? Like it'll be
Oh,
so cool. Yeah.
that is so cool. I mean, I've never see like the one thing I like about your cosplays, you like to go a little bit out of the box. Like when you did your it was from a Vocaloid music video. You were wearing the computer monitors. What's the name of that character
The
again?
prima donna is the name of the character, and the song that she is known for is Echo.
Yeah, I remember
Um,
you were talking
yeah,
about that. For
and
those,
that's another one that I just I got the materials together and I found that silver fabric that I used for the like static effect on the screen. And I just got it all together and sat down and, maybe a couple of hours plus like paint drying time. And, I busted out pretty quick because that's the kind of
Nice.
projects that I do is just little things that I
Very
can just bang it out.
nice. Yeah, I've seen quite recently, I've seen a lot of people do the computer monitor things. There's this one cosplayer I've seen, I can't remember their name, but they were wearing a computer head and they had like LED lights around it that would say words every now and again.
Yeah, they're really popular. And I admire the people who are wearing actual computer monitors on their heads. Because I know that, like, I've seen tutorials on how to take an old computer monitor and like hollow it out, and like all the tools you have to use, and you have to sand things down, and it can be really dangerous, and you can cut yourself. And I'm like, dang, that's some dedication. I love that people do that. For me, I just made an imitation one out of cardboard and
That
some wire
it
and stuff.
looks it looked convincing, and doesn't he also have like multiple arms as well?
Yes, yeah, I made arms out of, I took like really long opera gloves and made like just like wire arms that go inside the gloves, and then I filled it out with like polyfill. And then the sleeves and the gloves and everything go on top of those, and they strap onto a harness on my back. So there's like two extra sets of arms coming out of my back. And I just wore that one again pretty recently. There was a cosplay contest at Japan Fair in Bellevue. It used to be in Bellevue. I don't know where they're at now. I don't remember. But yeah, I wore it to this contest, and I didn't end up winning that one, but that was okay. There was like really, really good cosplays, and they totally deserved to win. Um, but I got some really good responses from people who were like, I did not expect to see this today, and like came up and talked to me about it. So that's the kind of thing that I appreciate, more so than like winning or getting accolades, having somebody come up to you and like say how much they liked seeing your cosplay. That's what it's all about for me.
Oh yeah, no. I feel like a fan reaction is always the best.
It is for sure.
Very nice. So oh yeah, for anyone wanting to know, this is the aforementioned cosplay. Really well done.
Thank you. That was really fun. I still like wearing that one. And I can actually see really well out of that TV head. People think I'm blind in that thing, but I can see pretty well as long as it's well lit.
Yeah, that's always a plus in my book. Now onto the cosplays you've done over the years. What's that one cosplay you've not done in so long that you would like to bring back?
Oh, one that I haven't done in a really long time. Let me think. I have my little my like list of cosplays that I'm gonna look at real quick and see if it jogs my memory. Um, it would be fun to be Malin from Zelda again. Uh, I would have to completely remake that costume because I've just had it for too many years and it's been kind of damaged.
Yeah, I'm
But yeah,
looking
Malin
at
from Ocarina of Time, that would be really, really cool to
Ooh,
revisit that.
her.
Well, that's her as a kid. I did her as an adult. So the outfit's a little bit different, but
Oh, oh,
yes, that's the one. Yeah, that I think I did that first back in like
oh.
2010.
Here's a better version of her adult.
Yeah, and I still really like that outfit and I really like that game, and it would be so much fun to do that again. But I would have to sort of like force myself to be like, okay, I have to make this entire cosplay that I've already made once, but now I have to make it again. So if I ever decide that I have the patience to do that, that would be a really one or a really fun one to revisit.
Nice. So I'm looking through your cosplays because I always like talking about the random cosplays. I gotta ask, what was the concept behind Sexy Gandalf?
Oh my God. Okay. I don't remember like why that started.
I'm sorry, I saw the picture of you with Billy Boyd, and it's just like,
Yeah, I
with
got my picture with Billy Boyd and
well,
his face.
with your permission, could I should I show that
Yes,
when I
please
come
go
when I edit?
ahead.
Well, here's I'm gonna show a bigger picture, but here's the
It's me and Billy.
his facial
Me
reaction's
and
the
I know
best.
his face was just everything to me. Like that's really what that costume was about, I think, was getting that reaction. Because when I found out that I was gonna have the chance to go to Rose City and meet Billy Boyd, um and for a minute there they had Sean Astin as a guest, and then he ended up canceling that year, which
Yeah,
really bummed me out.
I remember hearing about that he canceled.
he came back, and he came back with Elijah Wood too. Um, Back last year, I think they were both there. And so when I went, though, I just met Billy Boyd, and I really love the Lord of the Rings, and I love all the actors in that. And I don't remember exactly when I decided that sexy Gandalf was going to be a thing. Um, but I'm also not the first person who's done that, because I've
Oh
seen
no.
other people cosplaying Gandalf and Saruman and like whoever else,
Oh yeah.
and and either having like their boobs out or their legs out or whatever. And so
I remember seeing the first time I ever seen Sexy Gandalf back like when I was in like videos of it back when I was like in high school.
it's definitely a thing, and I'm not entirely sure why. There's like photoshopped pictures of Gandalf with really big boobs with cleavage, and like uh, I don't understand it, but it
If you're
makes me laugh.
underage, we don't recommend looking that up
Now,
because
don't look
you
it
don't
up,
you
but
don't you may
man,
not
it's
you
so
don't want to
funny
get
to me.
scarred. So yeah, what was the idea like? You know, what made you want to cosplay Sexy Gandalf?
That's just it. I don't really remember. At some point, it just entered my head.
It's so
Um,
good though. I'm
I
not gonna
know.
lie.
I was just like, well, what if Gandalf, but like with fishnets and high heels? Like, why not? And I wore that to Rose City, and people loved it. I actually, they had a lingerie show at KumoriCon,
Yeah, I've heard
and
Kimura-con been doing lingerie shows.
yeah, it's a really cool
You got to
event.
be 18 or older to see those.
You do have to be 18 to check it out. And I ended up finding another dress that worked really well for Gandalf. And you probably won't be allowed to show pictures of it, but the front of it is just
Oh
like a
yeah.
long gray dress.
Oh yeah,
But
no.
the
I don't show this is PG-13. I know Risque is somewhat PG-13, but I do sometimes will have an underage audience. So
Yeah,
I will not show any Risque type cosplays. That I'm
sure.
sorry.
Well, then I'll just keep my description kind of as vague as possible. The front of this dress was just like a plain gray dress. The back of it is completely see through. So I wore that for the lingerie show, and the audience reaction was just over the top, like nonstop screaming. I think I made some people's night. It was really fun.
Oh, that is too good. I'm not gonna lie, that is hilarious.
I had a really great time with that.
Yeah, I imagine that that's pretty funny. So next one. What's that one cosplay that you have not well, what's that as I call them, what's been your one and done cosplay? Was a cosplay that a friend asked you to do for a group, you were curious about doing, or you just wanted to see if it worked, if it fit the vibe?
Well, I did have a kind of just a one-time cosplay that I did for a group, because some friends of mine were doing a group of the anime Toradora,
Anime.
which is one that I have seen a little bit of it, but I didn't actually watch the whole thing.
What's it called?
And I ended up cosplaying. I don't have any pictures of it on my page or
Oh,
anything.
no, I'm just looking to show people.
Yeah, but just if you look for them, you won't find any, because I
Oh,
was just like, I just kind of did this character basically just to do something with my friends, and it was fun
what,
for what it was, but it's not something that I would go do
what was the name
again.
of the anime?
It was Toradora,
Tor
Toradora. It's
Tor
just like a rom-com anime, and it's not a bad anime. It's actually really fun. It's just not one that I was super into, so I didn't really finish
Oh,
it.
that looks like an older anime. Oh yeah, 2009. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we did that group back
2002.
in like 2010, I think.
2008. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna what character? I mean, just for people to know, because I am gonna show if for so for the for a picture you don't have, I'll still show a picture of what the character is, so you can like point them out.
Yeah, she's not even in that picture, actually. She was the class president, and so she was kind of a minor character. And I think her name is Sumire.
Summer, yeah, I'm looking at her right now. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
And so I just kind of walked around with my friends and like took pictures with them. Yep, that's the girl.
All right,
And
I'll show that as a bigger picture for those who.
like it was fine, but it's definitely not something that I am gonna, wear again. And I've had
It,
friends do that for me too, where they would cosplay something that they really weren't into just because they wanted to be a part of the group. And it's like it's kind of cool when people can do that just for the fun of it.
Oh yeah, like I said, I call them one and dones.
Yeah, that's totally what that was.
Oh yeah. So next one. What is your, as I call it, it'll be either your comfort cosplay and your most favorite cosplay. Like no matter how many times or whatever con you go to, you always want to try to cosplay them.
Well, I have too many cosplays to be that attached to any
All
one.
right, top three
But
then.
I will say that like I have a couple that I have worn like many, many times over and will probably continue to do so. One of them is Clear from Dramatical Murder.
All right, is that Clear?
Yeah.
I'm looking. I'm looking because I've never heard of these names, so I at least want to like look them up just so I have an
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, that's a
Clear
series that I'm very, very, very into.
Dramatical
And I cosplayed him
Murders.
back when I first played that game
What's a
in
video
20.
game
Yeah, yeah, it's a PC game that then got an
for
anime
for
adaptation.
here? This is
That's
what
the
he looks
guy.
like, and then for
Yeah.
though, and
And
then
he'll also wear, yeah, he wears a gas mask, and so I have a gas mask just like that one. Um and I wore it first in 2014 because that was around the time I first played that game. But I wore it again just last year because the 10-year anniversary of the game came up, and I guess that's something I do is if there's an anniversary for something that I'm really, really like into, I'll like use cosplay as a way to kind of celebrate it. So I
oh,
went and took
oh,
pictures.
I've heard of this anime.
Yeah,
I've seen a whole lot of people cosplay.
it was
I've
hugely
seen
popular.
people cosplay as the blue hair and then him.
Oh yeah, I mean it's, and
I
I
remember
still
seeing
see people dressed as those
I've
characters
seen
even
people
though it's a
like
10-year-old game now. It's got staying power. Like if I were to,
I gotta ask, is it a yaoi?
yeah, it was a BL game, and then when they
I
made the
thought
anime,
so.
well, when they made the anime, they kind of took all of that stuff out. So the
Oh,
anime is more of just like a sci-fi adventure kind of thing.
I imagine. I just saw like
Yeah,
I saw. I mean, I'm not. I can't. Yeah.
yeah, they wouldn't have been able to
Play
put most of that stuff into an anime.
occupation a bartender at Black Needle.
Oh, that's Mizuki. Yeah, that was Mizuki, which is um
Well,
like a minor.
that's what he says. That's what it says. That's I'm looking at Clear, and that's what he says his occupation is.
Oh, that's like kind of obscure actually because he's well, spoiler alert, 10-year-old game, ooh, he's an android, right?
Okay.
So he doesn't have a job, but I think in either the sequel game or in one of the drama CDs, I think he got hired at the bar by Mizuki.
Okay.
So that is like a deep dive almost. That's like a piece of
Yeah.
trivia that you would have to be like a pretty hardcore fan to know.
I recognize I'm looking at pictures of the other characters. I recognize Noise. I recognize Alba. I'm probably butchering that name.
No, yeah, you got it right. Yeah.
Oh, and I also recognize Kujaku.
They're all really popular and they're all very distinctive. Like you see Alba and you immediately know it's him because
Oh
he's
yeah.
just very good character
I've
design.
seen people cosplay him on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Right.
Wow.
And so but Clear is one that I have been wearing for a number of years. And I still enjoy wearing it. Um one of the other ones that I wear a lot is Sabitsuki from Dot Flow.
So making me look at all these characters I don't know anything
Well, if
about.
you look up dot flow and you can actually spell it out like DOT and then FLOW, and it's a another computer
Game.
game that you'll find. Um, and the main character in the actual game is just a 16-bit sprite. So you have to be sort of creative with how you like imagine her, which people do, with
And
their
what's your name?
hammer and
Sabitsuki?
Sabitsuki, yeah, Sabitsuki. So that's one that I've been doing.
Savitsky.
Yeah, and her I've been cosplaying since about 2011.
Um, is this? I mean, this probably is not her.
That is her. Yeah, that is
Oh,
one of the
okay.
outfits that she wears.
Oh, God,
And so people will
it's
usually.
a horror game. Reminds me of
It is. It's a really scary horror game.
it reminds me of the type of game my sister would like, have watch on YouTube.
It's extremely
So
entertaining. There is
VC.
no dialogue and there is no formal plot of any kind. It is the kind of game where you just wander around and explore and like find scary.
It reminds me of another horror game that actually got turned into an anime.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a anime I heard on a YouTube channel from a guy named Spooky Rice. He does like a bunch of horror reviews. I can't remember the name of the anime, but it's also based on a game.
Interesting. I wonder what that one is.
I would not know.
At any rate, Sabitsuki is one that I have been wearing since at least 2011, and have revisited that time and time again. She's a very like transformative character in that there's like all sorts of different ways that she can appear throughout the game, and so there's lots of opportunities to change that cosplay up and like make it different. Um, and I got to do some really cool like horror special effects makeup with that because towards the end of the game she takes on this like a flesh-eating virus that eats away at her skin, and her sprite becomes covered in these like increasingly large bloody patches. And so I cosplayed that by making these fake like wounds on my skin and covering them all over my arms and my legs and my face. And man, I got crazy reactions from people because for a split second they would think it was real, and then they would go, oh god, it's just a costume, but they'd be like, are you okay? Like like it was really creepy, and I really really enjoyed doing that, and I would love to do more like horror like special effects makeup, uh
That's
and yeah, hopefully that opportunity will come up again.
nice. So have you incorporated body paint into any of your cosplays?
I've used blood a couple of times. Once I was Rena from Higurashi, and she is a character who's well known for using a hatchet to hack somebody to bits.
Rena from what?
And so, sorry,
Rena from
Higurashi.
and
Um, yeah, so I had a fake, like a fake meat cleaver that I carried
she looks
around,
so
and
innocent.
I know, right? Like, well, she looks very sweet and innocent, but she has a dark side, and
So
that's what I
she's
liked
is
about
she
her.
would she be classified as a yandere, I think is the term.
That is a point of contention. Some people don't consider her a yandere, um, and some people do. I think you could quibble
I
over what
mean,
technically qualifies and what does.
just it just
Yeah,
looks
I
so
know
sweet and
she's very
innocent.
sweet. She's very
Good
cute, but
God.
push the wrong buttons and she becomes violent.
Oh,
So I
God.
covered my outfit with blood, and I had fake blood all on the weapon, and I wore that to conventions back in like 2009 or so. So I've done blood stuff a couple of times. One time I actually made fake intestines, and we did a photo shoot where
Oh,
I
that's the name of the anime. Sorry, I'm just oh, that's the
yeah.
name. He did one for one called Another and the other one was called Corpse Party.
Oh, okay. I've heard of those. I haven't seen them, but I've heard of
Oh,
them.
those are dark.
Uh, so yeah, I've done the fake intestines. I've done the fake flesh-eating virus. I've done fake blood. Um, I pretty soon, since I'm going to be doing Zuko, I'm going to be doing like a fake burn,
Mhm.
around my eye. Uh,
Well,
so I've done a couple of things like that.
that's gonna be cool to see. Um,
Yeah.
very nice. So cosplays, like I said, again, this will be up till July. So cosplays you'll have done by then, and cosplays you'll be doing after July.
Yeah. I am trying to save money at the moment, so I'm not taking on too many new projects. But I do have a couple of things coming up for SakuraCon. One of them was Momo, which I just showed you. I'm going to be doing also a character named Ryan from Tiger and Bunny.
Why
Um,
does that name sound so
well,
familiar?
Tiger and Bunny is a really popular anime, and it's about superheroes. And Ryan is a character who didn't show up in the first season of the anime. He actually showed up first in the Tiger and Bunny movie, and then he's also in season 2. And he's this just like amazingly arrogant,
Why
like,
the hell does he look like a JoJo character?
oh, because he's full of himself. He's like, I am the coolest, sexiest, toughest guy in the world, and like he's harmless.
Oh,
Like
and
he
then
doesn't have a mean bone in his
here's
body,
here's a figure
but
of
he,
him.
right, he's so full of himself that he literally says "kiss my boots" is his like catchbreath.
Oh dear
But he's
God.
a good guy. Like he's a good
Oh,
hero. He's
and of
just
course, if anyone
completely
wants to know, here's him in his armor.
yeah, and his hero suit is literally like solid gold. So he just thinks that he's like a golden god, and I just find that very
It's a pet
entertaining
iguana.
and fun about him. That he's such an arrogant douche, but like he's not a bad guy. He's just a
He's
kind
got
of
a
jerk.
he's got a pet iguana. That's really
He,
cool.
yeah, he has a pet iguana. I think her name is like Mary or something.
God,
But
he just looks
so
like
that's
a
one that I'm gonna,
he
and
looks like
obviously I'm not doing that big golden suit. That's a
oh
little too intense
no,
for me, so I'm doing
that just looks like a lot a lot
it's a
of
lot,
work.
it's a lot.
You're gonna need a lot of
But
EVA. You're gonna need a lot of EVA foam and super glue.
right, not something I'm willing to take on just now. But I'm gonna have him at SoccerCon, and then SummerCon is gonna roll around. I'm gonna do Zuko for that, and then after July, maybe I'm gonna do Rose City this year. Possibly, I'm hoping to do Rose City Comic Con this year, and I probably will not bring out anything new for that, but I am gonna bring back Miss Martian from Young Justice.
Ooh, yeah, I remember you I've seen that.
She's definitely one of my favorites, and a friend
Megan.
of mine is saying that he's gonna cosplay Superboy, so that'll be really fun. Miss
Aw.
Martian and Superboy are they're a couple in the show.
Which version of Megan did you cosplay? Was it her short hair or long hair
Her short
version?
hair, the one that kind of showed up in season 2. That was the look that I really liked
Okay,
her.
I like short hair Megan.
Yeah, she's such an interesting character, and I really, really like.
She's also the niece to Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, she is. So I am going to be excited to bring her back again. Uh,
Nice.
but yeah, there's not going to be a whole lot going on after that, up until maybe MagFest in January.
Oh,
Um,
2024.
yeah. Then we're getting into 2024.
Oh yeah.
My plan for that right now is I want to do Royal Casket from Mega Man Legends. I don't know if you've played that one. It's kind of a
Who?
I don't know if it's old enough yet to be like a retro game, but I think it was a PS1 game.
What's it called?
Mega Man Legends.
No, the character.
Her name is Roll.
Oh, mega. Oh yeah, I talked to another cosplayer who plans on doing
Yes, I adore that outfit, and I really, really liked that game.
Mega Man
Um,
Legends. I'm looking it up right now. But
so that's kind of my project that I'm going to try to get done before the year is over.
yeah, first release. It came out. It came out in 1997. I count that as a retro game. It's over
I
20.
guess now, yeah, it is. It's
So I count anything over 20 years retro, in my opinion.
that's
That's coming.
fair. I had
That's
not
coming.
actually stopped to think about how old that game was, to be honest.
That's coming from someone who's turning 30 this year. I consider that retro.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty old.
Oh, good God. Yeah, it came out in 1997. That's gonna be really cool. Yeah. It'll be nice to see.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, what would you say the hardest part of that future cosplay is gonna be?
Well, I am probably gonna be making almost the entire thing by hand. And part of the reason being that, she has like a matching colors in all of her
Oh
clothes,
yeah.
her shorts and her top and her hat.
It's a pretty basic color scheme.
It
I mean,
is, but it's like if I were to try and thrift that and, modify it into her outfit, then I would never get those reds to match.
oh yeah, no, I
And I
mean,
want them to match. So I'm going to be
just
probably just making the whole thing myself.
well, then here's the younger, another version of her.
Oh yeah, that's like a much older version of her where she's more of like a little kid. I kind of liked her in Legends where she was like a teenage
But you're gonna do
girl.
like this version.
Um, that's close. That's not the exact outfit. The first one that you held up
Oh,
was the one.
but there.
Yeah. Yep, that one. So it's not like a complicated, like there's not that much to it.
And I can't tell
But if I but if I want to
version.
be like controlling kind of how it looks, I'm gonna have to just make everything.
Oh yeah, her wig. It seems like it's gonna be a project.
Well, the wig, I'm getting my friend to do it because I am friends with somebody who is a really, really, really good wig stylist.
Want to give him a shout out?
Oh yeah, Shogun Echo. Um, he is doing wig commissions. He's I don't know if he's open for business right this minute because he gets customers and he has to stop taking on new commissions until he kind of finishes the ones he has. But he's incredibly talented. I'll show you a wig he just did for me right
And
now.
his name is Shogun Neko.
Yeah, that is Shouganeko. And this is one that he just did for me. This is gonna be for Ryan at
Ooh.
SoccerCon.
Oh, that looks so cool.
I know he's
it almost reminds me of Cloud's hair from Final Fantasy.
yeah, yeah, and he's really, really good at doing spike styles like this. So I thought he,
I may have to get in contact with him if I ever want to do Soldier 76 from Overwatch.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, he can do all kinds of different stuff, but he's really, really good at doing big spikes.
Ooh.
And so when I saw Roll, I thought, oh, he can totally do this. He's one of my best friends. He's very talented.
Well,
Um,
shout out to Shogun Neko.
Shout out to Shoganeko.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how Ryan turns out for con this year. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. And my friend is going to be Blue Rose with me. So I think she's going to be a big hit. Everyone loves Blue Rose.
Hey, look.
I'm sorry, I'm making you look up so many things.
Oh, no, I don't mind because it gives me an idea. Ooh, ooh, I like her outfit. That's a lot of. Oh, I can't show that picture. Again, why do they look like JoJo characters?
It
Don't
is
at
a
me.
similar art style.
Don't
Yeah.
at me, anyone, okay? I haven't seen JoJo and I haven't seen Tiger Bunny, even though I know both are on Netflix. Yeah, I can't show that
Yeah, so
picture.
she's working on Blue Rose right now. And
That
I'm
is that's a lot of hair. Love the outfit though.
yeah. The outfit that you've got there is I don't think the same one that my friend is gonna make. But it's the same character and it's a really, really cool super heroine outfit.
I'm all for it though. So
Yeah,
next
no, she's gonna look great.
oh I believe it. So
I'm very
next
excited about it.
oh I'll bet. So next up let's see. Oh yeah, my two favorite questions that are coming up. Um Cosplay mishaps. What cosplay of yours or cosplays of yours that have had mishaps from something ripping, snapping, breaking, shattering, tearing, anything that could go wrong did go wrong with your cosplay, whether it's getting ready for the convention or at the convention or the basic, your cosplay just ripped or broke after a photo shoot.
I've been like pretty lucky with not having any huge malfunctions like that I can really think of. I've had some like typical wear and tear. I've had, zippers that break after a while, fasteners that come off, but I don't think I've ever been like at a con and just had something like fall apart on me. I've been lucky in that regard. Like I had a pair of shoes where the heels actually like wore down and I had to get them completely rehealed. But yeah, nothing like in the moment like malfunctioning,
Yeah.
thankfully. I've been very lucky with that so far.
Well, that's good.
Oh, you know what though? I did have a prop that broke.
Oh, what prop from for who?
Yeah, I so the character is Akushima from Dramatical Murder, the game we were just talking about a minute ago. And so
Akushima. I'm looking him up right now as well.
yeah, so he's a like a police chief and he has this megaphone, but it's this like crazy futuristic like weapon megaphone and so it has all these parts on it. It has like a
Just looks like a weapon where, F around and
it's
find out.
yep, it's a megaphone that can also like turn into some kind of a ray gun and shoot
Yeah,
people. So it's this
I seen it.
crazy
Yeah, here's
megaphone.
a cosplayer. This is from Dramatical Murder Wiki fandom of Akushima. I'm not sure who this cosplayer is. If anyone knows, feel free to tag them or the model, but that's the prop.
Oh, that's not a cosplayer. That's an actor for the stage play.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they did a stage version of that of that show.
But that prop,
So
like,
that's the actor that was in it. So, but yeah, I had that megaphone that was made out of just like styrofoam and like PVC pipe and all this random stuff. Yep, that's what it turns into. So I was carrying that around and I had
remind me not to piss off Akushima then.
for real, he's crazy. But I had this megaphone and I got down to the con. I had only been at the con for like 10 minutes and I dropped it. And like the handle completely broke off.
No.
And thankfully I was able to sort of finagle it back together. I don't remember what we did. I think we literally stuck it together with toothpicks or tape or whatever we had around, and
Just
I
whatever
just had
junk
to
you
be
can find,
really careful with
whatever
it.
junk you can find, and just pray, basically.
Exactly. And so for the rest of the day, I was just being very delicate with it and not swinging it around. I was like, if I drop this again, it's going to completely fall apart. So that was like the worst of having something just completely
Do you
shatter
have
like the
a
moment I get to the con.
Do you have a picture of that prop?
It's on my cosplay page. I can find it.
Well, I mean, I'll show the picture.
Yeah.
Let me put Akushima. I'll also put Akushima.
I mean, I no longer have the actual prop because
Oh,
it
I.
after it fell apart, I was like, well, this isn't going to do me much good. But I definitely got pictures of it.
Yeah, I put Akushima with a slash and then just prop. So when I send you the list of the cosplays we talked about, you could just send both. Um,
Yeah.
so you've worn heels for cosplays, and this is actually a question I'm gonna add on to anyone whoever mentions heels, you know. Um, who would you say the like what cosplay would you say required the most work with the heels wearing them?
Well, before I answer that, I'll show you just a quick picture.
Hmm.
One where we can really see that prop here.
Can okay, yeah, I
I don't know
can
if you
see
can
it.
see. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just when anytime someone puts the phone like that, there's always a bright light. Yeah, I can
Maybe if I
so
turn the brightness down a little bit.
I can kind of see it. Yeah, and that's
Here,
life.
I turn the brightness down so you can
Oh
see it a little
yeah,
better.
I can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
So
wow.
that is just like foam and PVC pipe and a lampshade that are all held together with glue.
Upcycling that works.
It totally worked. But I just it, it didn't have staying power.
Oh.
So if I ever decided that I wanted to be him again, I would have to completely remake it.
Oh, I'll bet.
Um,
But yeah, what's it been like wearing heels for your cosplays, and what advice would you want to give to someone who wears heels, whether it's, a male cosplayer or a female cosplayer?
so I'm maybe not qualified to give this advice because I have stopped wearing heels almost entirely because I just care about my foot comfort too much. I will wear heels if they are maybe that tall
Like a couple,
and
like
not much,
2 inches.
inch and a half. Like I don't go much higher than that. And so I'm not walking around in stilettos, I have tried some slightly more intense heels in the past. They hurt my feet, they hurt my legs, they just make me want to die. So I just said, I'm not doing this anymore. So now, if I have a character that wears heels, I will find just the lowest little kitten heel, equivalent of that shoe. Um, and so I guess my advice would be don't feel like you have to be, completely accurate to the character if it is going to make you suffer. I know some people will go through it. I know people who are like, I don't care if I lose all of the, nerve endings in my feet. They can all die. I'm still going to wear this shoe
Oh,
because I
you'll
want to
you'll
protect
care when you
the
take that
character.
shoe off and your foot's covered in blisters and bruises.
Yeah, no kidding. And so I know people that will do that, and like power to them. If you're an adult, you can make your own decisions. That's what you want to do. But I just decided I'm not going to endure this pain anymore. If I'm going to wear heels, I'm going to make sure that I can handle them for at least a couple of hours.
Oh
And
yeah.
really have like a pair that you can change into and carry them with you.
Like
So if
flats or
you,
Uggs or something comfortable
yep,
and
just
flat.
anything that you can slip on. And if you need to walk around in comfortable shoes, and then when somebody wants your picture, just really quickly put your heels on. Like you can do that. I know
Oh
people
yeah,
that do
no.
that too.
And it
But
doesn't
just
hurt. It doesn't hurt to break them in like a few days before the con or a week
you
before the
definitely
con.
want to do that. Break them in. Also putting just like band-aids on your feet, like preemptively, like where you think you would get a blister, put a band-aid there, and you won't get the blister because your skin will be protected. So that's something
Oh
that you
yeah,
can do.
no. And
I've started doing that with any kind of uncomfortable shoe. But mostly I just have decided that, like, yes, cosplay accuracy is great, but it is not worth pain. And
oh,
conventions are, they're taxing enough. There's so much standing and walking, and give your body a break. Just
oh yeah,
wear
no. I
comfortable
I
shoes.
I wholeheartedly agree on that one. So my all-time favorite question, random awkward convention horror story moments that just made you go like, did that just actually happen?
I told this story the last time when I did that group interview with you. I don't know if you remember,
I do not, and
but I will
for those who are new to this series, feel free
I
to
will
share it.
happily tell it again because it's a buck wild story. I was at AkiCon back when AkiCon was a thing.
Uh,
Yep, good old AkiCon. Of course, one of the weirdest things that's ever happened to me as a cosplayer would happen at
oh
AkiCon.
yeah, I've heard stories
Um,
how they were made to spite a con up north.
Supposedly, the people who started AkiCon did it because they were banned from SakuraCon. I don't know how true that is. That's
That's
what
I've
people.
heard stories where they were selling bootleg anime out.
Oh, they
In,
totally sold bootleg. Like I even found bootlegs in the dealer's hall, and when I told con staff about it, they said there's nothing we can do. But so that aside, that crap show of a con aside, I was there and I was sitting in a chair, just like waiting for a panel to start or something. And I was dressed as Waldo's girlfriend, Wenda.
oh, that's
So
right.
basically girl version of Waldo. And I immediately regretted that decision because all day long, everybody would see me and shout out, I found Waldo. And I should have known that that was going to happen, but I didn't. And so I got tired of it really quickly. If you're going to do that kind of character, people are going to shout at you all day. Just deal with, be
Uh,
ready to deal with that. Um, so I was already regretting wearing this. I was sitting in a chair, just kind of waiting, minding my business. And I heard somebody shout, I found Waldo. And he points at me. And I looked up from my spot and I was, yeah, hi. And this dude then runs over, sits in my lap, puts his arm around my neck and tickles my ear like that. And
uh,
then
stranger
gets up and
danger,
runs away.
stranger danger. Also, as I've said multiple times recently, cosplay does not equal consent.
No, it does not. I did not consent to this. And it happened so fast that I literally I couldn't even process what it was.
Like,
He just did it really, really, really fast.
like,
And then he
like,
ran away and he was
like a
gone.
like a little kid, I can kind of understand because they don't know boundaries right away.
Oh no,
But if
yeah,
you're a grown ass adult, come on,
this was a grown man.
that just shows you peaked in high school.
I know. And thankfully it was not like a traumatic thing for me. Like it was really strange and I'm not happy that it happened, but this was not like a traumatizing thing for me, which that just makes me worry that he's out there traumatizing somebody else,
it's just
at the
kind of
end of the
sad
day. Like,
when young adults, like teenagers should know. Was like teenagers and adults should know better, in my opinion. Like a little kid,
oh
I
yeah.
can kind of understand, but also at the same time, like keep an eye on your kid instead of because they're gonna wander off, and next thing you know, they're gonna do something. Just be smart and
Yeah, and he was old enough to know better, and I don't know what it is about conventions that makes people think they can do whatever they want and touch whoever they want. It was
it's
bizarre, and it's something that, like
I
I
have.
said, thankfully, like I can look back on it and laugh.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I'm glad that it wasn't like a worse thing, but it was still just like,
out of
who
nowhere.
does this? Like, who thinks that this is
They
okay?
think they're being funny when they're being a dumbass.
I have no idea what was going through this man's mind.
And
Like,
I will use that word. If you do something like that, you are not funny. You are a straight up dumbass. And I could say that because it's my channel, and then it's not a bad word. It's not another word.
yeah. So that
So
that was my really weird convention moment.
oh, good God. Moving on. What's been your favorite con moment? Like to this day, it's something you'll always remember because it's like the best thing that ever happened to you at a con.
So the one that really sticks out is maybe so like precious in my memory because it was my first con. And so it was SakuraCon 2007, and it was Sunday, so it was towards the end of the con, and I was definitely like really tired, and everybody's energy was kind of low because we've all been partying all weekend. And so we're standing around in kind of one of the general areas of the con, just kind of talking and just, being kind of sleepy. But then I hear this really loud, like, wah, ha, 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 this cackle, like really loud, reverberating throughout the room. And I turn around and there's this guy dressed as Waluigi. And he's
Wah!
and
Sorry.
he's running away from a Link cosplayer who's like chasing him with his sword. And when he runs, he really gets his knees up there, like he had the most like cartoon character run I've ever seen in
Oh,
my
the
in a
as I call it
single
as
game.
I call it the Goku run.
Exactly, and he looked so comical, and he sounded so exactly like Waluigi, and it caught me so completely off guard that I think I laughed until I couldn't breathe anymore. I was like collapsed on the ground, like it, and everybody was laughing, but I was like out, just like a light, just dead
Oh, that one.
from how
Oh.
funny that was. And so I still remember that as one of my first, like, really funny just things that I witnessed at a con.
Oh, that is. Oh man, that
And
actually
so,
would
like,
make
I've
for
had all
another.
these great experiences and tons of like cool moments over the years, but I still remember that one
That'll make for a fun
because it was my
episode.
first con and it was the first time I had seen something just
Favorite,
so wacky.
favorite convention moments. That'll make for another fun episode. But that this, I'm
No,
sorry, but
this guy was brilliant. He was a perfect Waluigi, so committed to the bit.
I'm sorry for that. That is just too funny.
I know.
Oh, okay. I better be careful how much I laugh. Um, so last question. Um, like I asked, in the cosplay veteran one. What last minute advice would you like to give to those who are listening or watching this?
Um, other advice, like any about anything specific?
Just general advice for cosplaying and conventions for those who are listening or watching.
It's sort of hard to put into just a couple of words, but what I really want everyone who gets into cosplay to know is that you don't have to look a certain way, and that cosplay is about expressing yourself and about expressing love for something that you really are like passionate about. And it's not about looking like an Instagram model. It's not about being a note perfect recreation of this fictional character. That I used to limit myself and say, I can't be this character because, I'm too fat. I can't be this character because I'm too short. I'm the, my face is wrong. My skin color is wrong, whatever. And at some point, you have to say to yourself, like, that's not what this is about. It's not about just looking exactly like, this character blocked off the page. Like, it's cool when people can do that, when people can look like a character come to life,
Ooh,
but do not let that limit yourself. And then at some point, when I realized how much I had like stopped caring about that as much, is when I started to have a lot more fun, because I started to be these characters that are nothing like me. Like I did Hank from Detroit Become Human, who was like a 60
ooh,
something year old guy. And so I did a
Connor,
whole
what
fake
are you
beard.
doing?
I did makeup to like age myself so that I could look, like a 60-year-old dude. And
Uh,
I loved it. I had a great time with it. And I realized like I don't have to choose just the characters that I think I can pull off. Like I will pull it off because I dedicate myself to it and because I care about it and I'm having fun with it. And so do that, and don't say to yourself, I'm the wrong skin color, I'm the wrong weight, I'm the wrong gender.
cosplay is for everyone.
It is for everybody and there are no limits. And I mean, you can have a comfort zone, but
Yeah.
do not impose limits on yourself ever.
Oh no,
Do
and
the
uh,
thing that makes you happy.
I completely agree. I will say though, and this may, get some mixed comments, but if you're under the age of 18, be careful who you cosplay because there are some characters that
Yeah,
you
there are
really shouldn't be
some
yeah, that you
exceptions.
should not be if you're under the age of 18, there are some characters you should not be cosplaying because oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
I would
mean,
say if you're under 18, then you don't maybe portray characters that are from like an adult series or that wear something really skimpy. Like, save that stuff, in a couple of years you'll be 18, then you can do whatever you want, but just save it.
oh yeah,
And I
no.
mean, that's the one limitation I would impose. And the only other one I would say is, if you are going to cosplay as somebody who is a different race than you, don't try to change your skin color. Obviously it can be incredibly hurtful and offensive to, try to paint yourself or make yourself a different color. Just use your natural skin. Just just the way that you are naturally is fine. And that's the only thing I would say that I would like tell people not to do, is try to change their skin color.
That's some pretty sound advice for sure.
Right. And you can still be those characters. Like, you can be a character who is a different race, just don't try to like
look exactly like a
Don't,
character.
don't blackface yourself is really the only
Don't
rule.
don't blackface. Don't do the tape by the eyes. To there,
No, none of
like
that.
I said, if anyone wants to learn more about that, be sure to check out the the cosplay safety and awareness episode, and also the cosplay wig and makeup episode on for the pot for past podcast panels. So before we end this, as I always say, recently, as I've been saying since beginning last month, would you like to promote yourself by letting people know where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, definitely look at my Instagram. On there, I am retro.lizard. And then on Facebook, I'm Retro Lizard Cosplay. And either one of those is probably my Instagram is a little bit more like a highlight reel, and my Facebook is more like I'm gonna put all my pictures there and keep them all collected in one place. More of a dumping ground for all my photos. But either one, I like interacting with people on either one of those platforms.
Nice. Links to those that will be in this description below. Again, Lonnie, thank you for coming on to share your cosplay convention experience. Cannot wait to see the cosplays that you'll be doing for this year and hearing about the conventions you'll be going to. And, looking forward more to hear about your your cosplay convention experience in the future. So, yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
You're very welcome. And as always, if you don't already know, I am Wayne the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening. And as always, thank you for watching.